Okay, let's see if we can't get this thing a little bit more going where we need it to go. We're going to shape that face a little bit more. The nose is looking pretty flat, so I'm going to come in here with a round gouge, small gouge, and just indent that nose a little bit more. We need a little bit more than that, but that's okay for right now. And then we'll carve that back up in there. We'll round the edge of that nose a little bit. Get these harsh edges off, make it stick out a little bit more. Okay? I want to see if I can get as much of this out as I can because I may need more room for that nose. And so we'll take that out like that. I'm going to get back in there with my fishtail gouge just a little bit, but not much. Again, we're working with a relief carving, which means we have a limited amount of space to put everything that needs to go in there. And that means, and what it means for me is I'm going to shorten this stick a little bit. I don't want it sticking up above the nose, so I'm going to make that stick about that long, which means all of that wood's going to come off. I just made that decision on the fly. I didn't like the way it was coming out, and I'm afraid this face isn't going to look right if I kept it the full length of the stick. So on the original that we used, the stick only came out to about the nose, and so we're going to make it just a little bit shorter than that. Be careful trimming up to that ball cap. You do not want to lose it. Okay, so now we've got a little bit more room back here. Why is that fuzzy in there? That we can play around with. So I can trim that nose back a little bit more. And again, if we make a mistake, we can always push everything back a little bit, make that head a little bit smaller. We can have a little bit of fun with this because it's our carving. We can do whatever we want to with it. And as long as you're not pre-selling it to someone else, then you can do whatever you want. Anyway, from here, we're going to see if we can't get the bridge of the nose and the forehead out. And it's hard to see back up under there, but we've got a little bit that we can play around with. Although our nose is looking pretty flat, we can trim that out a little bit more. Make it stick out some. Push everything back so it looks right. And all I'm doing is adding a little bit more depth to that face. Nose is looking a little bit flat. So we'll play with it a little bit here. I think part of it is because that mustache was looking oversized, making everything else look small around it. See what I meant about that hand? If we're looking at it that way and we carve the hand in, it looks okay. But when we look here, it looks like the hand's coming out of the middle of the nose. So it doesn't really work that way, and that's what we got to play with. Starting to get that nose to have some shape to it other than flat. Flat's a shape, but not the shape we were looking for. There we go. Let's trim that hair back a little bit. Sticking out, looking like a wig he's wearing. Not necessarily what we're looking for. Starting to make him look okay, I think. Again, not perfect because we're dealing with a flat piece of wood, but it's okay. It's starting to look okay. We can use our small gouge to gouge out a little bit more there. Get that out of there. All right, let's trim that brim, that bill of that cap down a little bit, because it's starting to look like it's in my way. Be careful when you're working around this bill because it can get very, very fragile on you. I want to take out some of that stuff on the bottom, and so what I'm going to do is support it with my finger, tuck it in close, and I just want to shape it. Supporting it with my finger so I don't push too hard and break it off, but I have a feeling I'm going to have to take off more than I wanted. Nothing wrong with that, that's why I'd left that bill extra thick. Okay, so what we'll do is take it off the top. Take it off the top there, up there. All right, so what I want to do is also round that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this gouge and just use that to nibble that back a little bit so it fakes and looks like it's more rounded than it really is. Again, I'm supporting that with my finger as I carve it because I don't want it snapping off. So be careful when you're turning your knife to make sure that it's not prying up against there. Just make sure you're just being real careful, nibbling it away and not making it too thin because you still have some more carving to do on this guy, and you do not want to be pushing on that too much. Okay, so we're going to round it, give it more contour. And then take that sharp edge right there off. That's starting to look a whole lot better, if you ask me. All right. Still working on his cap a little bit more. And so we're just going to trim it up. Get rid of the lines we don't want. Trim the back of that hair up. It's looking like there's a hump back there. Looking okay. Looking okay. Okay, I'm gonna see if I can't get that wood out back there. One of the easiest ways to do that is with a small V. And all I'm gonna do is nibble it away. Come in there with a knife and trim that off. How deep you go on that is entirely up to you. You can see how thin we've got a piece left. Don't have much, but if I'm not careful, I could break that stick off. That's the beauty about this design, is it does not have to come above his hand very much. If you wanted to make it just real short, like this guy, he's got a short piece. This guy's got a short piece. This guy's is a little bit longer. And so you can infinitely customize this carving. You do not have to do it necessarily the way I told you to, or the way I'm doing it. You do it your way. It is your carving. When whatever you're going to do with it, give it away, sell it, donate it, grandkids, whatever. It's up to you how you do that. A lot of my noses I do, they look like they've been in a boxing match. And so sometimes they have some really interesting crooks to them and bends. We always talk about Nixon and the ski slope kind of nose he had. Sometimes I'll do some of those because they're fun to do. It's fun to make a nose look funny. Because if you're, let's say you're a carver that does shows, a lot of people love coming over and looking at what you do. And so if they see something that's funny, you just might make a sale. And if not, at least you got their attention. I know when I do some shows, a lot of kids show up, and there's some of them that just gravitate towards a dog or a bear or something like that, or a minion. I've done a lot of minions. They just seem to have a lot of fun looking at those and playing with them and making up stories. It's interesting to hear conversations they have with the carvings as they're playing around with them. All right, let me show you how we get the shape of that hair that I want. I'm going to use a V-tool, and I want to go to the end, and understanding what the way the hair lays. Hair lies this way. So what you want, if you're going to have these little shapes to them, you want them going in the right direction. We'll pick that up in the next video, and I'll show you how we do that. Talk to you later.